Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a booger and a shooter and that shit is all go down. Baby's got a booger and a shooter and that shit is all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Guten Morgen, Fräuleins and dudes. I don't know. I can't remember what man is in German. I don't really want to know, so you don't have to put it in the chat. Thank you. It's me. It's Uncle Warren dealing with some sinus issues. So today's going to be, it's already a treat. I upgraded some stuff in the show, upgraded some programs that I use. Apparently I didn't set some of them right, so this could be a little bit interesting this morning. We'll see. We got a lot of stuff to get to. If I can open this up. Not that one. There we go. Yeah, so let's check in on our peeps. We got Anonymous. Hello from the Devil's Playground, the UK. Of course it is. It is the UK ugly and kraken filled. Okay, that's not what UK stands for. Sorry, Moose. I'm just fucking with you this morning. We got Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show in the house. What's up? Gene is here too. Apparently, big conversation about time. Yeah, so Max RJ, good to see you. And Willie, you put this up a little too early, so I can't put it on the screen, but I'll read what it says. It says, he dropped a 10 spot on us. Very nice of you. What if Republicans and Democrats are the same party and they had total control of the government the entire time? Orange Man will not save us, and Cop Model will not save us either. Actually, you are correct. They are the same party. It's like twins, but they're just wearing different clothing to try to distinguish themselves from each other. But we all know you're fucking twins because you look alike and you sound alike and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So also, quick reminder too about our buddy Chanda. She is going through lung cancer, and if you would like to donate to her GoFundMe, we got the link in the description down below. So help our pal out there. As we know, medical bills in general are pretty pricey, and cancer treatment is through the roof too, because we don't have a government that cares about its people and wants to give us free Medicare for all, that sort of thing. So yeah, so and hope she's a strong chick. I know she's going to pull through this. Cancer's not as unbeatable as it used to be. So, if you can't donate, please share out the link and keep some good positive vibes for Chanda. She could totally use it. What's up, Willie? Good to see you. Yeah, Willie's been shouting her out too. So every little bit helps. And like I said, even if you can't donate, share out the link. That definitely will get things going. At least try to help her out there. Yeah, so let's just a reminder, This is the last day of September. And you know what tomorrow means. It's October 1st. That's right.
Fuck you, everybody. Good night.
Rocktober's back, baby. It's coming. It's not even breathing hard. I'm just kidding. Yes, it'll be tomorrow. And we'll have funsies throughout the month of October. Not just here, but on the other shows as well. And fingers crossed, toes crossed, eyes crossed. Hopefully the secret show will be back this Friday night. Haven't figured out the time yet, but it will be on YouTube, Rockvin, and Rumble. And we'll have some funsies there. So, all right, let's get to our stories for today. A lot of bad news, unfortunately, starting off with Kristofferson. Don't know if you know who that is, youngsters. You old people know who he is. Influential singer-songwriter dies at 88 years old. There's the man right there. Some of you who may have watched Blade, he was in that too. Kristofferson, who became one of the most influential American singer-songwriters of his time, with works such as Me and Bobby McGee, as well as becoming a successful actor. He died Saturday at the age of 88, according to his family. Kristofferson had been suffering from memory loss since he was in his 70s. A family spokesperson said in a statement, Kristofferson died peacefully at his home in Maui, surrounded by his family, but a cause of death was not listed. Kristofferson was a Renaissance man, an athlete with a poet's sensibilities, a former Army officer and helicopter pilot, a Rhodes Scholar who took a job as a janitor in what turned out to be a brilliant career move. Long story short on that, he became a janitor at Columbia Records, started writing songs for various people. He established himself as a songwriter in the country music capital of Nashville, writing such Grammy-winning hits as Help Me Make It Through the Night, For the Good Times, and the one-time girlfriend Janis Joplin's plaintive #1 hit, Me and Bobby McGee, as we mentioned earlier. In the early 70s, he became well known as a performer with a rumbling, unpolished baritone, as well as an in-demand actor. He was in A Star is Born with Barbra Streisand, big hit movie of the 1970s. He's born in Texas, in Brownsville, Texas. Moved around. His father was a general in the Air Force. He played football and rugby. He attended Oxford University on a Rhodes Scholarship. And then he joined the Army, became an elite ranger and a helicopter pilot. Worked his way up to captain. But he moved to Nashville after that, worked as a janitor at Columbia Records, and he also worked as a helicopter pilot ferrying workers between Louisiana oil fields and offshore drilling rigs. And in recent times, too, he's noted for his support of the Palestinian people, and you know, he had a keen eye as to what was going on in this country, all the fuckery years ago. So yeah, R.I.P. to Kristofferson. It's like you want to say Chris twice, but then you have to say Tofferson at the end. So I don't know what that means. You know, we had Hurricane Helene last week came in, one of the biggest storms to hit the area in quite some time in the southeast, and now they're picking up the pieces there. So Helene kills at least 90 in the United States, homes and memories washed away. And if you've ever been through a hurricane, you know what kind of damage is there. Power lines, trees down, flooding, that sort of thing. Same thing here. Southeast U.S. began a huge cleanup and recovery effort yesterday, and the death toll climbed towards 100 after Hurricane Helene knocked out power for millions, destroyed roads and bridges, and caused dramatic flooding from Florida to Virginia. The storm's winds, rain, and storm surge killed at least 90 in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia, according to a Reuters tally of state and local officials. Officials feared more bodies would be discovered. With cell phone towers down across the region, hundreds of people had yet to make contact with loved ones and were listed as unaccounted for. Damage estimates range from $15 billion to more than $100 billion. Insurers and forecasters said over the weekend as water systems, communications, and critical transportation routes were affected. Property damage and lost economic output will become clear as officials assess the destruction. In North Carolina, nearly all the deaths were in Buncombe County, where 30 people died. Sheriff Quentin Miller told reporters. County Manager Avril Pender said she was asking the state for emergency food and drinking water. We'll have some links here in just a second to tell you about that. Streets in the picturesque city of Asheville were submerged in floodwater. What's up, Kate? Good morning. Good to see you. Search and rescue teams from 19 states and the U.S. government have converged on the state, adding that some roads could take months to repair. In Flat Rock, there was widespread blackouts. Grocery stores are closed, cell phone services out. One of the locals said, waiting in line there at the store. Roughly 2.7 million customers throughout the South were without power yesterday, according to the U.S. Energy Department. Down 40% from Friday after unprecedented storm surges, ferocious winds, and perilous conditions extended hundreds of miles inland. And you remember, that storm just basically went through the Big Bend in Florida and just went right up the gut through Georgia, South Carolina, and made its way west. We even saw a little bit of it up here in Illinois. CNN reported a total of 93 dead across the South, citing state and local officials. Joe Biden plans to visit the affected areas this week and basically ignore people. That's what he does best. So how to get help after Hurricane Helene. So I'm just going to scroll down here. This is basically telling us what happened. So if you want to apply for federal disaster relief, the White House approved a major disaster declaration for 25 counties in western North Carolina and the eastern band of the Cherokee on Sunday. That means federal funds and assistance to the region can move quickly, apparently. Residents should apply through FEMA. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. Or you can call the 1-800 number here. I'm going to have all these links in the description here after the show for all this, and also through the FEMA app. Apparently there's a FEMA app. To be eligible, residents and business owners must live in one of the 25 counties listed in the emergency declaration, and all the counties are listed here. And FEMA spokesperson Michael Hart said it's important for residents to begin the application process as soon as they can. I mean, a lot of times people will be out of power. They may not have cell service or internet in their area. So hopefully those people will get some help shortly. Hey, Poor Dirt Farmer. That's one of the guys down there in Florida. What's going on, brother, man? I'm glad that you're okay down there, too. I know there was some, I was watching some of his videos over the weekend. Hang on just a second here. Just got to do this. I mean, I know a lot of people who live in trailer parks down south, and those are, can't help it. You got to live somewhere. But I hope all those people who are living in the trailer parks are okay, as well as everybody else, too. So, meanwhile, in New York, we told you about Eric Adams and all the corruption charges that he's been put under. He naturally says, I didn't do none of that shit. So, New York Mayor Eric Adams pleads not guilty to shock corruption charges. There he is. I didn't do shit. New York Mayor Eric Adams pleaded not guilty Friday to charges of fraud and bribery in a case that marks a stunning downfall for a man once touted as a future Democratic Party star. Probably not anymore. Adams, who appeared before a judge in Manhattan federal court, is the first sitting New York mayor to be criminally indicted. He's accused of wire fraud, soliciting illegal campaign donations, and a bribery conspiracy involving Turkish citizens and at least one Turkish official. Judge Catherine Parker set the next hearing for this Wednesday. Allegations prompted calls for his resignation, but Adams has remained defiant, saying on Thursday that he was looking forward to defending myself. Good luck with that. And urging New Yorkers to wait to hear our side of the story. Accompanied by aides, the 64-year-old mayor made no comments to waiting reporters Friday, but gave a thumbs up as he entered the courthouse. He wore a dark blue suit and a purple tie. I don't know why they felt the need to put that in there, but, you know, I guess they like fashion, I guess. Is that a thing? Yeah, so that's New York for you. And I know the Political Matrix guys were talking about this on their show over the weekend. And I mentioned to them, I said that the New York political machine there is massive, powerful, and highly corrupt. So he must have done something to piss off the machine, because usually they protect their own unless they're not their own. And that could be the case too. So who knows? So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see what's up. Meanwhile, those strikes at the ports on the East Coast are getting ready to begin. That's the East Coast port strike set to start tomorrow, says the union. Port strike on the U.S. East Coast and Gulf of Mexico will go ahead starting tomorrow. The International Longshoremen's Association, the ILA, union said yesterday, signaling action that could cause delays and snarl supply chains. U.S. Maritime Alliance refuses to address a half-century of wage subjugation. The union said in a statement, the U.S. Maritime Alliance, known as USMX, represents employers on the East and Gulf Coast longshore industry. USMX did not immediately comment. If union members walk off the job at ports stretching from Maine to Texas, it would be the first coast-wide ILA strike since 1977, affecting ports that handle about half the nation's ocean shipping. One source said no negotiations were taking place yesterday, and none are currently planned before the midnight deadline tonight. The union said previously the strike would not impact military cargo shipments or cruise ship traffic. White House spokesperson Robin Patterson said yesterday that over the weekend, senior officials have been in touch with USMX representatives, urging them to come to a fair agreement fairly and quickly, one that reflects the success of the companies. The officials also delivered the same message to ILA, she added. Earlier on Sunday, President Joe Biden said he did not intend to intervene to prevent a walkout if dock workers failed to secure a new contract by October 1st. You may remember he did step in with the train workers who were threatening to go on strike, and he basically made it illegal. And they said, well, if you say so. Yeah. So meanwhile, in Georgia, if they weren't having problems enough with storm damage, they had a nice little chemical fire going on over there. Fire at a Georgia chemical facility prompts evacuations and a shelter-in-place order. Fire at a chemical facility in Georgia prompted orders for evacuations for nearby residents and for others to shelter in place. I believe this was on Saturday. Around 5 a.m., a sprinkler at a biolab plant in Conyers, Georgia, malfunctioned and sprayed water on a chemical, causing a reaction that created a large hazardous plume, which then began drifting to the northeast, according to Rockdale County Fire Chief Marion McDaniel. The malfunction also caused a small fire on the biolab roof, which was contained. She later said the roof collapsed due to the fire. The fire reignited in the afternoon, causing a huge plume of smoke to billow from the plant. That fire prompted an evacuation order for anyone between I-20 and Sigmund Road, according to Rockdale County officials. There's the big plume of smoke right there. Shelter-in-place order has been given to the entirety of Rockdale County. Those residents should remain indoors with windows and doors closed and should turn off their air conditioners. The fire was extinguished around 3:30 p.m., according to McDowell. She said the plume of smoke could be visible for several days. It is shades of Palestine, Ohio, and that giant fire there. What's up, Desert Mantis? Good to see you. So all kinds of trash going on like that. Meanwhile, the head of Hezbollah, I should say, I'm sorry, was assassinated over the weekend. You probably heard about that. Now, Israel likely used U.S.-made bombs in Nasrallah's assassination. These were big booms. Israel likely used United States-made 2,000-pound bombs in the strike that killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and leveled residential buildings in Beirut's southern suburbs earlier this week, according to the Washington Post. Citing 3 experts who analyzed videos of Friday's strikes posted by the Israeli Air Force, the Post said on Sunday that at least some of the bombs were U.S.-made BLU-109s and JDAM guidance kits. The Blue 109s are bunker buster heavy bombs, and the JDAM kits are guidance systems that attach to munitions to help attack a specific target. 2,000-pound bomb has a destructive radius of 115 feet, or 35 meters for all our non-U.S. people, according to the Project on Defense Alternatives, which conducts defense policy research and analysis. Nasrallah, Hezbollah's longtime chief, was killed in Friday's strike on the group's underground headquarters. Israel dropped what local media said were bunker-busting bombs, flattened about 6 buildings while trying to kill Nasrallah. The attack also devastated the entire neighborhood, turning several apartment buildings into rubble. So that kind of leads, and a lot of their leadership had been killed, assassinated as well. But it turns out Israel had some real-time intelligence that Nasrallah would be at this meeting where he was killed. So pretty disturbing. So as Israel carried out its deadly strike against Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah after learning he would be meeting senior commanders in the movement's underground headquarters in southern Beirut. That's according to the Israeli military. They said Saturday the strike, shortly after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the United Nations General Assembly in New York that Israel would not accept Hezbollah's forces on its borders, followed the assassination of some of the group's most senior leaders over recent weeks. Israeli military spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani said the operation, which the military called New Order, that's not creepy, occurred on Friday while Nasrallah and the Hezbollah senior chain of command were meeting to plan further attacks against Israel. We had real-time intelligence and opportunity, an operational opportunity that allowed us to carry out this attack, he told reporters. And I think I had this in another story and I didn't, and I deleted it or something like that. But apparently they had an Iranian spy in the mix that alerted them to where he was going to be. I don't think that says that here in this story. But like we said, that leaves a power vacuum at the top of Hezbollah. And so according to Deputy Secretary Naim Qassem, who is the second in command, he said the group would appoint a new leader at the earliest opportunity to replace Nasrallah and vowed that the Iran-backed group would continue fighting Israel. He gave a 19-minute speech, on Friday, I think, televised, marked by by a top Hezbollah leader since Nasrallah was killed Friday. Qassem is a veteran figure in the group, having served as deputy secretary since 1991. He was appointed deputy secretary general under Hezbollah's late Secretary General Abbas al-Musawi, who was killed by an Israeli helicopter attack in 1992 and remained in the role when Nasrallah became leader. He's long been one of the leading spokesmen for Hezbollah, conducting many interviews with foreign media as cross-border hostilities raged with Israel during the Gaza war. He told the media in June that Hezbollah's decision was not to widen the war, but that it would fight one if it was imposed on it. Yeah, so they haven't really talked about who the new leadership is going to be there. There's been whispers in the wind about someone else taking over, but they have denied those accounts. And Israel has basically shifted its focus from Gaza to Lebanon, obviously. Hey, what's up, Prop? Good to see you, bud. And now Lebanon is feeling what the people in Gaza have been feeling and going through the same kind of things. So Lebanon may be seeing the largest displacement ever, according to their prime minister or premier. Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati warned Sunday that intense Israeli bombardment may have caused up to 1 million people to flee parts of Lebanon, perhaps creating the biggest displacement crisis in the country's history. The premier told reporters that the estimated number is very high and may reach 1 million, about 1/6 of Lebanon's population. Since Monday, Israel has launched a massive aggression on Lebanon's east and south, as well as the southern suburb of the capital, Beirut, killing hundreds and forcing more to flee their homes as a result of indiscriminate attacks. Earlier this week, UN Refugee Director Filippo Grandi stated that well over 200,000 people are displaced inside Lebanon and that more than 50,000 had headed to neighboring Syria. So, and that's what happens. You start bombing the shit out of a place, and then the people have to move because they don't want to get the shit bombed out of them. So that's what's happening there. Meanwhile, Yemen, you know, they had launched these long-range missiles at Israel, and of course Israel has retaliated. Israel strikes on Yemen. Over the weekend, the Israeli military conducted a series of airstrikes on what it said were Houthi targets in western Yemen yesterday, sharpening fears about a regional conflict amid Israel's ongoing bombing campaign in Lebanon. In a statement, the army said dozens of Air Force aircraft struck power plants and seaport facilities at the Ras Isa and Hodeida ports. The attacks killed at least 4 people, including a port worker and 3 electrical engineers, and wounded 30 others, according to Yemen's Ministry of Health. In a post on the tweeters, the military claimed that the targeted sites were being used by the Houthis to transfer Iranian weapons into the region. The port cities are vital lifelines for millions of Yemenis to access food and humanitarian aid. According to Human Rights Watch, 80% of humanitarian aid to Yemen flows through the ports of Hodeida, Ras Isa, and As-Salif. So, yeah, everybody gets a taste of that Israeli murder and genocide. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia, they've been killing a bunch of people too. 2024, the bloodiest year on record, as Saudi Arabia executes 199 people. Saudi Arabia has executed 199 people this year, the highest number of executions in a calendar year on record, according to Reprieve. In July and August alone, there were 80 executions. The previous highest figure was 196 in 2022, followed by 184 in 2019. The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is presiding over a death penalty crisis, which is intensifying as authorities apparently seek to clear out their overcrowded prison population, the rights group said yesterday. A 2023 report by Reprieve and ESOHR showed that since he came to power with his father, King Salman, in 2015, the annual rate of executions has doubled. In total, at least 1,456 people have now been executed under the Crown Prince. Reprieve highlighted that the United Nations Human Rights Council is due to vote on October 9th on whether Saudi can join the body, adding that during the last HRC election in October 2020, UN member states denied them a seat. Since then, violations against child defendants, women's rights defenders, and social media influencers have got worse. Jeed Bassiouni, who leads Reprieve's work on the death penalty in the Middle East, North Africa region, said, "We know that the Saudi authorities often increase the pace of executions when the world's attention is elsewhere." And this appears to be happening now, with fresh horrors being reported every day in Gaza, the Middle East on the brink of a wider war, and the U.S. presidential election transfixing global media. Death row prisoners in Saudi Arabia are at higher risk than ever. So, yeah. So Saudi Arabia, a lot of these countries get away with these human rights horrors, while other human rights horrors are going on. But we've reported a few times on Israel's economic position and what's happening to it during all of this. So Moody's cut Israel's rating and warns of drop to junk. So if you're into the financials, this will be right up your alley here. The credit agency Moody's cut Israel's credit rating 2 notches to Baa1 from A2 on Friday and maintained a negative outlook as its aggression in Lebanon and Palestine continues. The key driver for the downgrade is our view that geopolitical risk has intensified significantly further to very high levels, with material negative consequences for Israel's creditworthiness in both the near and longer term, the rating agency stated. The downgrade kept Israel's rating 3 notches into investment grade. However, Moody's noted concerns about Israel's security and long-term economic development prospects, that they are much higher than is typical at the BAA rating level. A dip below that level would result in Israel losing its investment grade classification. The ratings would likely be downgraded further, potentially by multiple notches, if the current heightened tensions with Hezbollah turn into a full-scale conflict. A loss of investment grade rating often increases the cost of debt payment, and it may drive some investors to liquidate their holdings, further lowering the market price of Israeli bonds. Fitch lowered Israel's credit rating from A to A from A+ last month, and we reported on that, maintaining a negative rating outlook. On Saturday, the Islamic resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah, targeted the Israeli Ramat David Air Base and airport on Saturday with a volley of Fadi 3 rockets. So, yeah. So, there's talk of Israel doing a ground invasion of Lebanon, but financially that may not be in their best interests in the long term. But Netanyahu is a psycho piece of shit, so who knows? People want to get him out before he destroys their country. And the Egypt, is not faring well in this either. Egypt says Suez Canal revenue down by $6 billion over regional tensions. So Egypt has lost $6 billion in Suez Canal revenue due to escalating geopolitical tensions in the region. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said yesterday. Speaking during a police graduation ceremony, Sisi said revenue of the international waterway had plummeted by 50 to 60% over the past 8 months. We are keen on managing our affairs in a way that preserves our country and maintains stability in the region as much as possible without getting involved in events that could affect security, Sisi stressed. The Egyptian leader warned that the current regional tensions could lead to an expansion of the conflict. The Suez Canal, a vital artery for global trade, is the shortest shipping route between Europe and Asia. It is one of Egypt's main sources of foreign currency, right? So even if you're not a morality person and you don't give a shit about human lives, but you only talk about the bottom line, well, you know, the bottom line seems to be getting lower and lower. Meanwhile, Russia is telling the West to go get fucked. I didn't know this was still happening, but Russia could ban export of vital resources to the West. Russia could shut off the flow of strategically important resources to countries it deems unfriendly, according to Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, as the government contemplates countermeasures to Western sanctions. The ban could include a large list of products that are in high demand on global markets, Novak told reporters on the sidelines of Russia Energy Week on Thursday. While the minister did not specify the exact products, it is widely expected that a list would include so-called transition metals, in particular uranium, nickel, and titanium. According to the deputy PM, the Russian government is analyzing the feasibility of the restrictions to ensure domestic industries would not be hit by limiting the supply and will continue to develop. There's a specific analysis of the situation on the world markets and Russia's opportunities. Relevant proposals will be prepared in the near future, Novak stated. The possibility was first voiced by Vladimir Putin earlier this month. Putin asked the government to look into the benefits and downsides of capping exports of some strategically important commodities. In response to Western sanctions, he noted that while Russia is currently limited in the supply of a number of goods, it still exports many products to the world market, effectively allowing both friends and foes to stockpile them. Well, now maybe it's just going to be friends, because looks like the foes are going to be fucked if they're depending on Russia. Hey, Bella and Steve, good to see you. And Dee's in the house, too. Around the World with Dee and Friends. Good to see all of yous. This was a bizarre story, but, Trump has been telling people that Haitians eat their pets, which is bullshit, but they do eat dog meat in South Korea. That is a for true, but, South Korea is trying to stop that. South Korea unveils a new plan for dog meat farmers. Oh, paupers. The South Korean government has announced that it will compensate farmers affected by an upcoming ban on breeding or selling dog meat for human consumption. Farmers have rejected the offer, however, and described the ban as an act of barbarism. How ironic. You're eating dogs, and that's an act of barbarism. South Korea's parliament passed a bill in January that would outlaw the breeding and sale of dog meat by 2027, with the practice punishable by fines of up to 30 million won, that's 22,800 American, or 3 years in prison. The ban faced fierce resistance from dog farmers who called the legislation a violent act of barbarism to deprive individuals of their right to eat. You got to eat dog, you can't eat it. And rioted outside government buildings last December ahead of the vote. On Thursday, the country's agricultural minister announced the farmers affected by the ban will receive payments of between 225,000 won and 600,000 won, WON if you're just listening. That's $170 and $450 American, respectively, per dog if they agree to shut their businesses early, the AP reported. The Farmers Association rejected this offer, however, demanding 2 million won, that's $1,505 per dog. While eating canine meat is viewed as barbaric throughout much of the world, it has been common in Korea for centuries. Even though the practice has recently fallen out of favor with younger generations, roughly 1 million dogs are still slaughtered every year for their meat, according to the Korean Association of Edible Dogs. There's an actual association for it. The association claims that the ban will affect 3,000 restaurants and about 3,500 farms, raising approximately 1.5 million dogs. April 2022 figures from the Agriculture Ministry put those numbers at 1,600 restaurants, 1,100 farms, and 570,000 dogs. Anti-cruelty groups have lobbied for such a ban for decades, although a spokesperson for Humane Society International Korea told the AP that offering payouts could result in farmers potentially increasing dog breeding to get more money from the scheme and more puppies being born into suffering. The Korean Animal Welfare Association called on local governments to strictly monitor farms to prevent them from breeding more dogs for compensation. Once the ban comes into force, the Ag Ministry said that it will encourage people to adopt dogs from closed farms in order to limit the amount of euthanizations carried out. Dog. We go from eating dog to bootleg liquor in Iran. What? That's crazy. Hey, Rick, what's going on, brother? So, and apparently it is the kind that you get up in Kentucky that turns you blind or kills you. Well, kills you. Bootleg alcohol kills 6 in Iran, according to state media. Look at all that hooch. Poison. That's Grandpa's cough medicine. 6 people have died of alcohol poisoning in northern Iran after consuming bootleg booze, state media in the Islamic Republic reported yesterday. Iran banned the production and consumption of alcoholic beverages after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Ever since, smuggled and unregulated alcohol has proliferated on the black market, with methanol often added to drinks as a cheaper alternative to ethanol. Official news agency IRNA said 4 people have died in the northern province of Gilan. Out of 20 people poisoned by either ethanol or methanol, 4 between the ages of 22 and 40 died due to severe poisoning. Others were hospitalized, including 6 in serious condition. In a similar incident, 2 people died in the neighboring Mazandaran province and 3 are hospitalized. In September last year, 4 people were sentenced to death for selling contaminated alcohol that killed 17 people and sent dozens more to the hospital several months earlier. At the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020, at least 210 Iranians died after drinking bootleg alcohol, falsely believing it to be a remedy for the virus. It's not a remedy, but it'll help you forget that you got it. Only members of Iran's Christian, Jewish, and Zoroastrian minorities are exempt from the alcohol ban. That's interesting. Foreigners are required to respect it, but locals drink up. Just don't drink the poison shit. Or if you see Uncle Jesse with some kegs on the back of his truck, you might want to steer clear. We were talking about flooding from the hurricanes that here in the United States, of course, overseas they're dealing with it as well. This in Nepal, flooding deaths reach 193 as recovery work is stepped up. This is in Kathmandu. The number of people killed by flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rainfall over the weekend in Nepal reached 193, while recovery and rescue work stepped up today. Many of the deaths were in the capital of Kathmandu, which got heavy rainfall, and much of the southern part of the city was flooded. Police said in a statement that 31 people were still reported missing and 96 people were injured across the Himalayan nation. A landslide killed 36 people on a blocked highway about 16 kilometers, 10 miles from Kathmandu. The landslide buried at least 3 buses and other vehicles where people were sleeping because the highway was blocked. Kathmandu had remained cut off all weekend as the 3 highways out of the city were blocked by landslides. Workers were able to temporarily open up the key Prithvi highway, removing rocks, mud, and trees that had been washed from the mountains. The Home Minister announced temporary shelters would be built for people who lost their homes, and monetary help would be available for the families of those killed and to the people who were injured by the flooding and landslides. Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Oli was returning home Monday from attending the UN General Assembly meeting and had called an emergency meeting. Improved weather has allowed rescue and recovery work to be stepped up. And like we said, this is not just here; it's a worldwide thing. As rains become more intense, storms become more intense. And helicopters are not safe, apparently, either. 6 people killed in Pakistan in a helicopter crash. At least 6 people were killed when a charter helicopter crashed in northern Pakistan on Saturday. 2 sources that's according to security sources, who declined to be named as they were not authorized to speak publicly, said the helicopter was chartered by a private company in northern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. It crashed shortly after takeoff in the volatile North Waziristan area near the Afghan border. Around 14 passengers were on board, including Russian pilots, the sources said, adding that 8 people were injured in the crash and hospitalized nearby. Pakistan's armed forces and the civilian aviation sector have suffered several air accidents in the past decade. In 2022, military helicopter on a training exercise crashed in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, killing both its pilots. Also, in Colombia, 8 Colombian soldiers died in a helicopter crash near the Venezuela border. 8 Colombian soldiers died early yesterday when the helicopter transporting them on a humanitarian mission crashed near the Venezuelan border, according to authorities. The incident occurred in the eastern department of Vichada. President Gustavo Petro confirmed on Twitter after a search operation. The Air Force located the helicopter's wreckage in a rural area of Cumaribo, confirming that none of the crew survived. So what's up with these helicopters, man? I would not want to ride in one of those. Was that it? Don't make fun of me, Desert. Come on, man. I know I got you with the DeSantis thing last week, but you don't have to be cruel. ExtraBulla. Ask Krakistan is where I'm from, actually. If you like far-right election winners, well, you're in luck. Austria's election, a far-right group wins, boosting European right-wing surge. Yay! I'm coming to kill all you. Austrian voters handed a first-ever general election victory to the far-right Freedom Party on Sunday, vote projections showed, illustrating rising support for hard-right parties in Europe, fueled by concern over immigration levels. Fascist, excuse me. The Eurosceptic-friendly, Russia-friendly FPO held a slim lead in opinion polls for months over Chancellor Karl Nehammer's ruling conservative Austrian People's Party in a campaign dominated by immigration and worries about the economy. Led by the 55-year-old Herbert Kickl, the FPO is projected to secure 29.1% of the vote ahead of the OVP, that's the Austrian People's Party, on 26.2%, and the center-left Social Democrats on 20.4%. A projection by pollster Foresight for broadcaster ORF, not to be confused with Matt Orfala, showed after polls closed. A separate projection by pollster Arg Whalen, must be a pirate, also had the FPO coming first, winning by a bigger margin than final polling had indicated, though it will need to cobble together a governing coalition if the country's president asks it to. Kickl, who this year forged an alliance with Viktor Orban, the Hungarian prime minister, opposes providing aid to Ukraine and wants sanctions against Russia withdrawn, arguing that they are hurting Austria more than Moscow. FPO staff and activists at a party event in Vienna cheered in jubilation when the election projections were announced. Kickl's victory may prove Pyrrhic, as he is a polarizing figure under whom other party leaders have refused to serve. So, there you go in Austria. And speaking of far-right funsies, oh no, France. What the hell, France? French far-right chief Le Pen in high-stakes embezzlement trial. Oh, I'm in trouble, sacre bleu. Marine Le Pen, the far-right presidential candidate in France, and several leaders from her National Rally party face trial starting today over allegations of embezzling funds from the European Parliament through fictitious jobs. These hearings could overshadow Le Pen's strong performance in July's snap parliamentary election, where the RN won 126 seats, sufficient to influence Prime Minister Michel Barnier's fragile minority government. The trial includes the RN, 9 former members of the European Parliament, including Le Pen and Vice President Louis Alliot, spokesperson Julien Aldoul, and 4 other staff members. Prosecutors cite a scheme dating back to 2015 involving contracts for parliamentary assistants from 2004 to 2016, claiming these assistants mainly worked for the party rather than in parliamentary roles. Many assistants reportedly struggled to explain their daily tasks, with some never meeting their assigned MEP supervisors or visiting the parliament. Allegations include hiring individuals under pretenses such as bodyguard and a graphic designer. One email exchange from 2015 shows Odul asking Le Pen if he could visit Strasbourg to meet his supposed supervisor, to which she responded affirmatively. The charges of misuse of public funds carry severe penalties, including fines of up to 1 million euros, that's a 1.1 million American, 10 years in prison, and a decade-long ban from public office, threatening Le Pen's 4th presidential bid in 2027. The RN has long characterized the investigation as persecution, with political scientist Nona Mayer noting that such attacks enable the party to position itself as a victim. Oh, no, that is not good. No, 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 no. Mon chéri, French gibberish. Sorry. Well, there are French people out there. I apologize. I don't know French. I like French fries. I like French dressing. I like French kissing. Kitty! This was a wild story. This came out over the weekend. Speaking of wild, look at this motherfucker. Hi, everybody, come swim. No, that's actually Boris Johnson. That's not Harry Carey. Boris Johnson said, we considered aquatic raid on the Netherlands to seize the COVID vaccine. Former Prime Minister admits in extract from forthcoming book that he discussed possible military operation at the height of the pandemic. So this guy was crazy, but apparently he was pretty out there. Johnson considered an aquatic raid on a Dutch warehouse to seize COVID vaccines during the height of the pandemic, he has revealed in his memoirs. I know he didn't write it. What's up, Choosy? Wait, is Choosy in here? Oh, you guys are just... If you say his name 3 times, he'll appear. The former prime minister discussed plans with senior military officials in March 2021, according to an extract from his forthcoming book, Unleashed, published in the Daily Mail. The AstraZeneca vaccine was at the time at the heart of a cross-channel row. This is from an English paper. Anonymous, you know what a row is. Or row, maybe they call it a row, over exports, and Johnson believed the EU was treating the UK with malice. Johnson said that he had commissioned some work on whether it might be technically feasible to launch an aquatic raid on a warehouse in Leiden in the Netherlands and to take that which was legally ours and which the UK desperately needed. The deputy chief of the defense staff, Lieutenant General Doug Chalmers, told the prime minister the plan was certainly feasible and would involve using rigid inflatable boats to navigate Dutch canals. They would then rendezvous at the target, enter, secure the hostage goods, exfiltrate using an articulated lorry, that's a truck for you non-Brits, and making their way to the channel ports, Johnson wrote. However, Chalmers told Johnson it would be difficult to carry out the mission undetected, meaning the UK would have to explain why we are effectively invading a long-standing NATO ally. Yes, that's basically it. You're invading another country. Johnson concluded, of course, I knew he was right, and I secretly agreed with what they all thought, but I did not want to say aloud that the whole thing was nuts. Elsewhere in the published extracts, Johnson denied eating cake at what he described as the feeblest event in the history of human festivity held to celebrate his 56th birthday during the COVID lockdown. He did not see or eat any cake at the event on June 19th, 2020, he said, adding that it never occurred to him or the then Chancellor Rishi Sunak that the Partygate birthday gathering was in some way against the rules. Yeah, I don't know about the cake thing, but that's just some wild shit there. Yeah, so they almost invaded another country to go get their shit. That's how crazy it was during the pandemic, in case you weren't paying attention. Meanwhile, if you're old, guess what? You're going to be the majority by 2030. Sorry, youngsters. We didn't shit out enough kids. Elderly population worldwide to surpass youth by 2030. So, by 2030, the global population aged 65 and older is expected to outnumber the youth, with the elderly projected to double the number of children under 5. In 1990, the UN declared October 1st as the International Day of Older Persons to address the challenges of an aging population and improve the conditions of the elderly. Recent UN forecasts project the global population to reach approximately 8.5 billion by 2030, 9.7 billion by 2050, and 10.4 billion by 2100. I don't think those numbers are going to happen. We're probably going to blow ourselves up well before then. By 2030, the number of individuals aged 65 and older is expected to pass that of the youth population, with the elderly projected to double the number of children under 5. As we said, the UN defines youth population as those aged 15 to 24. So if you're 25, you're old. Sorry, suckers. The global population aged 65 and older is projected to more than double, reaching 1.6 billion by 2050. If this forecast holds true, the elderly will comprise over 16% of the world's population. At last. In 1950, individuals aged 65 and older represented 1 in 20 people globally. By 2021, this ratio had changed to 1 in 10, and it is projected that by 2050, this age group will account for 1 in 6 people worldwide. Asia, Europe host most of the world's oldest populations because we poison ourselves here in the United States and we don't live that long. Japan leads with 30% of its population aged 65 and older, followed by Italy with 23%. Finland, Portugal, and Greece each have an elderly population of around 22%. Meanwhile, Hong Kong and South Korea are expected to surpass Japan with their elderly populations reaching up to 40%. Old people, whoop, 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 we up in this bitch. I told you Choosy would show up. Who said his name 3 times? Yeah, so, yeah, old people. We're going to run this shit. I thought old people were running this shit now. That's why we're in such fucked up shit. I could be wrong. I probably am. We got a lot of propaganda stuff here. And of course, propaganda means part of the propaganda is keeping people from learning about shit. And guess what? Guy Smiley impersonator John Kerry decided to chime in.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media are true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use those platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So, free speech makes U.S. hard to govern. How about that? That's John Kerry there. Oh, this guy. He looks like Stretch Armstrong. Somebody pulled on his chin too hard. The freedom for individuals to choose their, to choose their sources of information makes it difficult to govern effectively, former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has said. Speaking at Nazi headquarters, at the World Economic Forum panel on green energy last week, Kerry criticized the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which protects freedom of speech and the press. It's really hard to govern today, he remarked, arguing that social media poses challenges for building consensus in democracy, forming cults. The referees we used to have to determine what is fact and what isn't have kind of been eviscerated, Kerry stated, adding that individuals now decide where to get their news instead of having it foisted upon them. If people go to only one source and there's putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to simply hammering it out of existence, added Kerry, who served as Secretary of State and underling for Barry Obama. As long as Democrats can win ground and win the right to govern, they will be free to implement change, the former senator stated. I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven that they can move fast enough or big enough to address the challenges we face. To me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. And this asshole with the hat. At another WEF event earlier this year, Wall Street Journal editor-in-chief Emma Tucker lamented the loss of the corporate media's monopoly on information. Aww. We own the news. We were the gatekeepers, and we very much own the facts as well, she said, noting that customers now have access to a broader array of sources. Independent media. Amid increasingly divisive election rhetoric, research suggests that Americans trust the media even less than they are willing to publicly admit. While 24% of Americans claim to trust the media to tell the truth, only 7% believe it privately, according to a study completed in June by the think tank Populous in cooperation with Gradient and YouGov. Yeah, why? Yeah, and we did a thing. The people who are least trusted are politicians, and well, John Kerry, politician, you can see why. Telegram's being a bit of a bitch too. The Telegram appears to limit Hamas accounts. So Telegram has apparently further limited access to accounts affiliated with the Palestinian militia Hamas. According accounts for Hamas in Arabic and English, and an account for Hamas's Al-Qassem brigades, all previously accessed by UPI for news reporting purposes, appear to have been restricted in recent weeks. It was not clear when the change went into effect. This channel can't be displayed because it violated local laws, a message reads, when attempting to access each channel from the United States, even when using a VPN proxy to attempt to bypass the restriction. In recent years, Telegram has seemingly tried to appease concerns from Apple and Google by restricting channels on App Store downloaded software, but has not restricted the same channels when the app has been downloaded directly from Telegram's website. So that's why I always say have multiple sources for your information because of shit like that. Let's just go to this next one. And finally, Germany, being Germany, they're really all over the board. They say they're not going to do long-range missiles, but they're going to deny citizenship to those using pro-Palestinian slogans on social media. Well, the slogan, from the river to the sea. Germany will deny citizenship to those who share, like, or comment on the slogan "From the River to the Sea" on social media, which is associated with support for Palestine, local media reported yesterday. North German radio and television, NDR, stated that individuals who use, like, or comment on the slogan "From the River to the Sea" on social media will not be eligible for German citizenship. Don't threaten me with a good time, Germany. The German Interior Ministry's new regulations specify that using this slogan will disqualify individuals from becoming German citizens. So you'll have to become a Nazi another way. The slogan's roots date back to the 1960s, demanding the complete liberation of Palestine from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. This decision follows the enactment of Germany's dual citizenship law on June 27th. Yeah. So you say bad words, you don't get all this, you don't get to do the Oktoberfest, the girls with the huge tits and the big jugs and the big jugs. You know what I mean? So you don't get to partake in any of that. And finally, in our propaganda / censorship fun fest, the Swiss Festival censors film amid Ukrainian threats. How about that? The Zurich Film Festival has dropped a scheduled screening of a documentary about Russian soldiers due to threats from Kiev. The newspaper Neue Zürcher Zeitung reported this week, citing a press statement. The decision was reportedly made over security concerns. The documentary featured titled Russians at War, filmed by director Anastasia Trofimova, with Canadian government funding, was due to be screened at the festival next week. The feature recounts the 7 months Trofimova spent with a Russian military unit at the front in the Ukraine conflict. In the film, she brought to the fore the personal stories of the soldiers she met. The documentary premiered earlier this month at the Venice Film Festival, is instantly drawing criticism from Kiev, which branded it Russian propaganda. A planned screening at the Toronto International Film Festival was subsequently canceled due to claims that staff had received threats. The Zurich Festival said it was forced to drop the screening amid worries over the safety of our audience, guests, partners, and employees. The decision was made shortly after a spokesman for the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry posted a message on the tweeters demanding the documentary be removed from the festival's program. We urge organizers not to ruin the festival's reputation by screening Russians at war. This is a propaganda film that whitewashes war crimes, not a documentary, Georgi Tiki wrote in his post. However, sources have told the News Zeitung that festival organizers were pressured by representatives of the Ukrainian government and pro-Kiev activists, as well as by threats expressed via social networks. Despite caving in, the festival announced that the film would remain eligible for prizes in the competition and that the jury would view it behind closed doors. So, behind closed doors, they're still going to watch it, and they're still going to judge it, and all that stuff. So, yeah. Hey, Mariana, good to see you. Welcome. So, yeah, that's your propaganda watch for today. Always be on the lookout for propaganda from these fuckers. If you think it's bullshit, chances are it probably is. Go with your gut on that one. Finally, today, there's people stranded on the International Space Station because reasons, and they've been having a hard time trying to get them back. Well, finally, there was a rescue mission sent to the ISS. It was Andy Griffith in his homemade spaceship that he built in his junkyard. No, I'm just kidding. That's a TV show. SpaceX docks at ISS to take stranded astronauts home next year. So there we go. We're gonna come get you. Wah! The SpaceX crew that will ferry back in February 2 astronauts stranded on the International Space Station docked with the orbiting laboratory yesterday. The Falcon 9 rocket took off at 1:17 p.m., I guess local time, from Cape Canaveral, Florida on Saturday, with the Crew 9 mission aboard a Dragon spacecraft, making contact with the ISS at 5:30 p.m. Sunday. After docking was completed, NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov boarded the station just after 7 p.m., embracing their floating colleagues. That's pretty hard to do. I just want to say welcome to our new compadres from Dragon Freedom, says Station Commander Suni Williams, who is one of the 2 stranded astronauts. Alex, welcome to the ISS, and Nick, welcome back home, she said. When Hague and Gorbanov returned from the space station in February, they will bring back space veterans Williams and Butch Wilmore, whose stay on the ISS was prolonged for months due to problems with their Boeing-designed Starliner spacecraft. The newly developed Starliner was making its first crewed flight when it delivered Wilmore and Williams to the ISS in June. They were supposed to be there for only 8 days, but after problems with the Starliner's propulsion system emerged during the flight there, NASA was forced to weigh a radical change in plans. After weeks of intensive tests on the Starliner's reliability, the space agency finally decided to return it to Earth without its crew and to bring the 2 stranded astronauts back home on SpaceX's Crew 9 mission. SpaceX, a private company founded by billionaire Elon Musk, has been flying regular missions every 6 months to allow the rotation of ISS crews, but the launch of Crew 9 was postponed from mid-August to late September to give NASA experts more time to evaluate the reliability of the Starliner. and decide how to proceed. It was then delayed a few more days by the destructive passage of Hurricane Helene. And in total, Haig and Gorbachev will spend some 5 months on the ISS instead of 8 days. Wilmore and Williams will spend 8 months there instead of 8 days. And Crew 9 will conduct some scientific experiments while they're there. You know, like the rubber pencil thing, you know. Is it a pencil, but is it made of rubber? No, it's made of wood. It's an optical illusion. Global solidarity. I meant to shout you out earlier, too. Good to see you. What is that? Tara Dower, 31, made history with the fastest known time to complete the Appalachian Trail, beating the record, the 2,200-mile trail, in just under 41 days. Yeah, she was probably running from hillbillies. That's probably what it was. Like, yeah. They were like, ding, 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 ding. Boy, you got a pretty mouth. Well, you know, this was a relatively short show compared to the others. Not a lot going on. Hey, Miguel, what's up, buddy? There was, you know, big stories, but there wasn't a lot of big stories, but we'll have more on Wednesday. Willie is threatening to have a show tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Well, 7:55 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully that will happen, of course, around the world with Dee and Friends at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. We will be back here on Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific Time. I want to thank everybody that showed up here on YouTube and Rockfin and my lurkers on Rumble. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. It is a beautiful day here in Chicago. I think Helene is finally dissipated to the point where hopefully folks down there, our buddies in Florida and South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, those places can get the relief that they need. And fingers crossed for you, and positive vibes heading your way, and to everybody else too. Have a great day. We will see you again Wednesday, if you're lucky. Maybe not. We'll see.
This is SETI Alpha 5! Woo! Damn good song, wasn't it, dog? You like that song? All right.
Soon.
Fuck you, everybody. Good night!